up, guys? I'm Scholar Gamer Nerd.
I'm JFLO.
And we are My Only Vic3. Hey guys, really excited that you're joining us today. We want to make it worth your while, worth your time. So today we're going to talk about taking risks.
Yeah, you know, taking risks. I had a friend in high school, his name was Jerry Gomez. This guy would always say,
"What up, Jerry?
You gotta risk it to get the biscuit."
Hey, Holmes.
Right, and so I always kind of held on to that principle, right? And I decided that I was gonna go ahead and kind of live a life based on risks.
Okay.
But the thing is that some of those risks ended up kind of biting me in the butt, you know, later on in life.
Yeah.
But there was wins and there was losses. But so in reality, I came to understand that you can't have a win without a loss.
Most definitely, most definitely. You know, I think in talking about risks, it would be worthwhile for us to, I know it sounds very basic, but just define for you guys risk. Like by definition, guys, to risk something means to expose yourself to danger, harm, or loss. I think those are very important, bro. Because, you know, some people are like, man, I live dangerously, right? Or I'm willing to lose it all. So for me, the way I think about risks is like having the courage to face your fears or to go beyond some type of historical limit or something like that, you know? Because at the same time, bro, I'm not trying to be friends with somebody who's willing to throw it all away.
Yeah.
Are you?
No. Unless.
Wait, there's a but.
Unless. So, but what if? What if they're willing to throw it all away? And because they were willing to throw it all away, they actually make it happen. Because they risked it all. They risked it all.
Yeah. What I meant by throw it all away is like ignorant people.
That's different though. That's different, right?
Yeah.
Some people are willing to just kind of bet their families. I'm not saying I'm not that guy.
Like the type of fool to drive 100 miles an hour drunk with their baby mama pregnant in the passenger seat and like little bro and little sis in the back.
Yeah, that's complete bullshit. You know, like
I'm not cool with that, bro.
You're risking your family at that point.
Like
right?
if you were doing that, we wouldn't be friends.
Right, but hold on. There's a difference between risking one's life.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Right, and risking like shitty friendships.
Right.
Risking shitty jobs, shitty wages.
Right.
Like I'm totally cool with you or myself risking a shitty job if in return I'm gonna go ahead and get a better job, a better promotion, better friendships, happier overall relationships, right? So is that even called a risk? Are you really risking something that you don't really care losing?
Sometimes you have to take that step even if you don't know if you don't know what's next looks like, but in return you might actually turn out better for it. Okay. I like that. So then how do we teach that, bro? How do we teach that to a youngin or to like somebody who looks up to us or to our families and friends, like to embrace risk taking, not in like a reckless way, but in a sort of like personal growth mindset?
Yeah, you know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about how sometimes kids make mistakes and then we basically beat them down, not necessarily physically but mentally, right? And what happens over long periods of time is that they begin to associate losses and risks with pure negativity, because not only did they lose their opportunity, but then the adult also came and started basically insulting them for making that choice. Instead, what I suggest is very simple, is that we allow people, in fact, we push them to make mistakes, because it's through those mistakes that they then begin to associate with the reward of taking a risk, right? So when you start merging those two things together, eventually you're like, you know what, I made a mistake, but it's actually good.
Right.
It's good because in the future, after accumulating so many mistakes, it's kind of like a stepping stone, right?
Right.
I'm like, oh, by the time I'm 26, by the time I'm 36, 50, 60, I've made so many mistakes that I'm actually going to be so much more elevated in life.
Yeah.
And you can't make those mistakes unless you make a risky choice.
Right. I like that a lot, man. It reminds me of what Gary Vee says around like get used to failure. Get used to failure. Like he says get used to eating crap. And his whole philosophy is that if you get used to failure, essentially it doesn't phase you anymore, so you're ready to succeed. So he firmly believes that like those who reach like really high positions or are really successful businesses or really successful lives, pretty much like have mastered the art of failure. They're like masters at failure, and they turn those failures into W's. But my follow-up question would be then, like, what does that look like in real life? Like, what has that looked like for you per se? And maybe I'll share some stories.
Yeah, so I mean, I've taken many risks in my lifetime, like an incredible amount of risks. In fact, you know, let's talk about like a more practical risk-taking opportunity. Coming out here, right, on my commute over here, and kind of taking a risk. It's a minimal risk, but I'm taking a risk of kind of just dying on the road.
Yeah.
Like it could happen where I'm just kind of driving and minding my own business, and then some buffoon just kind of like intersects me, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
JFLO donezo. So.
Damn. Yeah. No, it's real life though.
Yeah, definitely. So honestly, man, like there's risk taking every single day. That's the reason why I use that example. But aside from that, man, like you took a risk of going to college, man. Yeah. Going to college is a huge risk, and I'll explain to you guys why. You're investing at least a minimum 4 years, right? If you're super smart, maybe 3 years, right? Or if you're gonna get a smaller degree, maybe like a trade degree, that's about 2 years, right? So the point is that we're taking a risk, right, and investing all this money into these schools, these institutions. We're gonna get a piece of paper that basically says, hey, you can get a job, right? But what if you do all of that, you invest your time, you invest your money, and at the end of it, you can't get a job? You can't get a job.
Yeah.
There's probably thousands of reasons for that.
Right.
But that's a big time risk.
Yeah.
And it's a risk that you know, kids all over the world are taking, especially in this country.
Yeah, man. I think some of my final statements around risk would be like, we live in a naturally dangerous world, man. And I don't mean that in like a fear and panic conspiracy theory type of way.
Dude, I love fear and panic.
Yeah?
I don't. I just think it's ridiculous, right?
Yeah, I don't read up on the Illuminati. I'm not gonna spend 10 hours watching like the 9/11 documentary. Like, who did it? Like, bro, like to me, I like to think about humans like through a psychological lens a lot, bro. Like psychology, like why did that fool do that? Like, why did that person pursue that person? Why did this dude do that? Like, why do those people think like that? Why do I think like this? Why do they act like that? Why are they, you know? And when you do that, bro, and you break it down to like just pure human psychology, you realize that everyone's just trying to get theirs, bro. At the end of the day, or protect something that they believe is theirs. And if you look at that, then you can figure people out very quickly. And that's really what I want this show in part to be, is like, we don't have all the answers, but I feel like collectively we have a lot of darn answers, bro. We have a lot of gems that I think we've worked very hard to dig out because of how much we've struggled or hustled, or because of how intellectually curious we are. You know what I'm saying? And I think I really want this channel, bro, this podcast, to be a source of inspiration and motivation so that you all can stop living like in fear, bro. Because we talk about risk, well, let's talk about fear. And maybe that's an entirely different episode.
Yeah, definitely, but
you feel me? Like that's like, stay tuned for our conversation on fear.
Definitely. It's coming, guys. It's a ride upon the horizon.
Deuces.
Ba, ba, ba.